Hi everyone, in this project we're going to create a rig for this little 3D character. We're going to start off with the basics with this and not try and tackle a human character, although some of the things that we're going to be doing in regards to the hands and the feet, or the arms and legs, are going to be basically what you would do for a basic human character. Obviously the body is a little bit different though. So to give you a bit of an idea of sort of the kind of movement we're going to be trying to rig for, this is just a little basic walk cycle, just testing the rig out. You can see there we've got some flex in the feet, and obviously the fingers can be manipulated and so on. And obviously we've got this little wobble on the top end of the can. This render does have some little eyes on the character. They're not currently sort of built onto the model. These were added later on down the track. So what we will do is add some eyes to the character, and we'll set up a basic blink control using maybe a blend shape for that. So you guys can add some geometry using a blend shape as part of this project. So what we're going to be doing is creating a skeletal structure using joints for the character. We're then going to be creating IK, inverse kinematics systems for the legs and also for the arms. The leg inverse kinematics is going to work off what's called a rotate plane solver, and what that does is allows us to give the knee a particular direction, and it also gives us an extra control which allows us to twist the leg at the hip joint in order to point the knee in a particular direction. We'll be setting up a control handle which will allow us to adjust the angle of the knee, although there are several different methods that we can use to control the knee position. So this is sort of what we're going to aim for, something along these lines. We're going to keep it pretty simple and go through the basics. Now, rigging can take a long time. It can take you as long to rig a character as it did to build the character or texture the character. So we're going to try and keep this pretty simple. What I'm going to do is show you the processes for sort of creating sections of the rig. But you may need to then duplicate those parts to the other side of the body, for example. So I'll show you how to create a leg, I'll show you how to create an arm, and then what I'll do is show you how to mirror those across to the other side. I'll show you how to rig one leg and one arm, and then what you'll need to do is repeat those processes on the other side of the body. Just that way I can reduce the amount of video time you guys need to watch. We will do a very, very, very basic test animation, just testing the movements of the rig once it's completed, just to make sure the controls work. We'll be doing that using Play Blast to show that test movement. We won't be doing a full-blown animation with this, as we probably won't have time. But obviously down the track we'll be doing more animation, character animation specifically anyway, so it shouldn't matter too much if we just do pretty basic tests now. Okay, so that's sort of the kind of movement level we'd be aiming for this, pretty basic. And what we're going to do now is jump into the file. Now you can see here what I've got is the file open at the moment. It's Coleman Base 2019. I'm just going to save that for a second. So what I'm going to do is start from scratch, and I'm going to shut the file down and basically run through the whole process of setting your project folder, opening the file, and so on. So let's clear this out and kind of get started. Okay, so here we are with our software. We've just opened this up. First thing we want to do is set our project folder. So once again, just to reiterate, this is so that if we have textures on the model, it's going to load those in. When we save our file, it's going to save into our folder rather than somebody else's. If we export an image or a render, it's going to save that into our images folder within the project rather than somewhere else on the computer. It's so that we can keep track of all of our files as we're importing and exporting them and saving them. So we're going to go to the File menu. We're going to go down to Set Project. What we want to do is navigate through our computer directories and find the project folder. Just here, it's character rigging. This will be the file that you download, or the folder you download off Brightspace. Okay, so we're just going to pop into here. Okay, I'm not selecting any of these folders, and I'm going to hit Set. So now when I go File, Open Scene, it's going to go directly into my Scenes folder, just here, and you can see there is our master file. So what I'm going to do is open this file up. I don't need to save that, and just hit Continue. So you should see basically this when you open the file. Now before I do anything with this file, before I start selecting objects or doing anything else, what I'm going to do is save the file out as a new file. Okay, so I go straight back up to the File menu and go down to Save Scene As, and it once again goes into my Scenes folder. And what I'm going to do is change the name. So what I'm going to do is call this Coleman Rig Master. Okay, I've got 2019 on there just so I know that it's a 2019 file. Okay, and I'm going to hit Save and Continue. So now this is our Rig Master file. So if I screw something up catastrophically, or if this file corrupts, or if something else happens to it, I can just go back to the File menu and I can open Scene, and I can go straight back to my base file. So that base file is going to sit there now, the original file. Okay, there's my Rig Master. Now technically I probably should have given this a version number, okay, like 001 at the end. When I save it, I will do that. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the file and then we're going to get started. You can see here I've got the outliner open. Okay, and in that outliner you can see that there's 4 items. Okay, ignoring all the default ones that are normally there, the camera, viewport cameras, and the default light and object sets down here. So what we have is the can mesh. Okay, that's the can body. We have the leg mesh, which is the legs obviously, and the arms mesh, and that's the model for the arms. Okay, where you've got mesh on the end, that means it's a model. Okay, then what we have is this root joint. So JNT is signifying a joint, just as an abbreviation, and you can see that it's a joint from the icon just here. And what that is you can see when you select it, you get these little green bits on the arms and legs, and up on the top of the can. Now currently I'm displaying wireframe on shaded for the viewports. That's this little blue and white cube button here. You can turn that on and off if you want, based on how you want to view the object. Okay, sometimes it comes in handy to see the lines, and sometimes they get in the way. All right, so root joint. Okay, when this is selected, you can see obviously we get these green parts highlighting. I'm going to tap my space bar to jump into my perspective view here. And what I'm going to do is click this little button here. It's called X-ray joints. It's a little circle with a triangle on it in a square. So when I click that, you can see that the highlighted objects now become visible through the main body of the model. Okay, what this is doing is allowing us to see joints, our skeleton, through the object. Okay, when we have normal X-ray on, which is this one, it makes the object semi-transparent, so I can kind of see the object and I can see anything inside it or behind it. Okay, this one here is X-ray the active component. The active component at the moment is the selected object, and we can't really X-ray a joint because it's just made out of lines. Okay, for a lot of this project I'm going to have X-ray joint switched on just here. So you can toggle that on and off as you desire while you're working, if you think it helps you with the workflow that you're currently doing. Okay, so you don't need to have it switched on if I've got it on, and vice versa. Okay, for now I'm going to leave it switched on. Okay, so let's take a quick look at this skeleton. Now, what I've done is left this skeleton in the file for you to kind of use as a bit of a visual reference while you're working. You are going to rebuild this. We're going to go through this process, but you shouldn't use this particular skeleton. The whole point of this is that you build your own, but it is here as a reference. Now, just so you can see how much involvement there is with building a skeleton, what we're going to do is hold down the Shift key and click on the little plus next to the root joint in the outliner to expand that hierarchy out. So you can see here, these are all the joints in the skeleton. And this is a pretty basic skeleton as well. It doesn't have the full 5 fingers per hand. It has 3 fingers and a thumb, so we're actually missing about 8 joints in total. And we also have a reasonably simplified set of feet as well. Basically, with these this foot setup, I don't have an additional heel joint, which I sometimes might include. So I've just gone for the basic hips, knees, ankles, ball, and then toe, or foot and toe. Okay, so you can see them there. Notice that all of the joints are named. You will need to name these manually. So that's part of the reason why this can take a long time. Okay, so I'm going to leave this video here. I'm going to try and keep the videos as short as I can. And I'm going to try and break them down into logical kind of stages. So this basically was our introduction. And in the next video, we're going to start building the skeleton. So I will see you soon.